Welcome to Reset and Realign. My name is Megan and I'm from Movement Lab, Tennessee. So this is a somatic class that might infuse a little bit of different modalities, but it's a great way to kind of unwind the body, find some length and some stretch and some breath in the body. So if you have these props or the equivalent to these props, have by you a block, a ball. Now keep in mind, if you have a foam block, it can double as the ball, and a strap. All right, so go ahead and lay down onto your mat. Have those props nearby. Feet stay flat, hips come down. And we're gonna take the block and you're gonna place it under the hips, right below the waistband of your pants. Let your feet go a little bit wider and the knees just knock together. While you're in this position, the arms can just be palms high, shoulders are opening, and focus on your breath. It doesn't have to be a specific breath, just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Use this time as a way to center yourself, find the breath. Use each exhale to release the tension in your body that you might be holding that you didn't realize. The hips are heavy on the block, feeling as if they're melting through the block, through the floor. This is a form of constructive rest with support of the hips. Let's do a body scan as we're sitting here. So feel your head heavy on the mat and your eyebrows relax. The corners and the creases of your eyes relax. Let your jaw just open naturally. Your head feel heavy. Without lengthening the actual arm bones away from each other, imagine that the shoulder girdle, the front of the chest, is getting wider. So from the sternum out towards the arm bones, there's a length. Allow your arms to fall in whatever position they lay, but take note if they're even or different in their rotation. Most of us have asymmetry in the body, especially before we've done the practice. Just let your fingers curl naturally. Your hips are heavy and the legs are in a relaxed position. They might not be touching, depending on how much internal rotation you have, but allowing them just to fall towards each other so that you don't have to activate anything in this position. This is a fully rested, relaxed position. It's not an exercise per se, but if anything, it's a mental exercise. How can you allow your body to relax? How can you calm your mind? Focus on your breath and just be present in the moment. Now I'm going to have you walk your feet towards each other. This next exercise is optional if you want to keep the block or remove it. Bring your right knee into your chest. Don't pull it too far until you've straightened your left leg all the way out. I really like using the wall because, and I'm not even quite close enough, you can push your heel into the wall and close the chain. And bring that right knee all the way in. Inhale and exhale, feeling the legs going apart like the arms in the action of pulling the bow back of the bow and arrow. Again, if this doesn't feel right on your back or the front of your left hip flexor, if you've never done this before, go ahead and remove the block. And then let's switch. What I don't want is there to be any tightness or impingement in the low back. As I pull my knee in, I equally press away with my other leg in opposition. Inhale big, and on the exhale, feel the legs go away from each other. I really feel in the front of my hip flexor, especially because my hips are lifted. But the more that I press my heel into the wall, specifically the inside of your heel, the more you will feel it. Good, and then go ahead and take both feet back down. If you haven't already removed the block, lift your hips just enough to remove the block and let your tail be heavy onto the mat. Take a moment to see how that feels. We'll just stay in constructive rest for a second. Ardha Shavasana. Inhale big. And exhale. And then let your breath just return to its normal state for a few rounds. Open your eyes and look at the space around you, your ceiling, your walls. Listen to the sounds you hear. Bring yourself into the reality of this very moment. Have your strap nearby. I like to put it right across my chest because I lose things easily. Bring that right knee into the chest, similar to what we just did. However, make sure that you don't tuck the pelvis under. So I'm exaggerating. Heavy tailbone. For some of you, that might feel like an arch of the back. Don't push it. Don't smash your tailbone into the mat. Just lengthen. Not only does the tailbone want to come down, it wants to go that way. So lengthen that low back. Grab under the knee. Keep the chest and the quad trying to connect as you straighten just the lower part of the foot to the sky. We're going to curl just the toes. See, my foot wants to stay flat. And then release them. Curl them and release them. Now, challenge yourself to see if your big toe can go up and your little toe can go down. And then switch. Big toe up, little toe down, then switch little toe up, big toe down. And then make nice, slow ankle circles. Nothing else needs to move. Just the ankle and reverse. Keep checking in with that breath. Your shoulders, are they holding tension? Are your toes, are your glutes, is your tail heavy? Now take the strap across the foot and take the leg to your straight. So for some of us, especially if we've done a lot of sitting and watching the news, that can be down here or here. Either way, take it to your straight. And then if you have hyperextension in the knee, as I do, give it a slight bend. Take your right hand, decompress your hip away from your rib cage. You can just press onto the quad. And you'll see immediately how that feels. So right hand is pressing into the quad. Left hand is holding the foot up. Slight bend for my hyperextended legs. Heel is reaching up to the sky. Hips are dropping down to the mat. Inhale big. And exhale. I'm going to walk this left foot out a slight bit because when I cross my leg over the midline, I don't want this leg to get in the way. So keeping my hand here and my hip anchored, I'm going to allow my leg to cross over my body towards my left leg. My left leg isn't opening. It's crossing in. It's almost the action of, I need to use the restroom. Press that heel away, drop that hip back down. Press the quad. Go ahead and take that leg back to center. Take your straps to your right hand. Rotate your toes towards your right shoulder. We're not going to go very far here, but see what it feels like to take the leg out. And what do you have to do with this left leg? You're going to want to feel to counterbalance it. If you plant that left foot and drop that left hip and allow the leg to come open, you can put your elbow down. You'll feel your left obliques and the back side of your left back trying to engage to find balance. Breathe. Drop your toes towards the floor so that your hip drops down, and then come back up. Go ahead and remove your strap, right heel to left ankle. Grab your left quad and pull it in. If this is hard for you to do, you have two options. You could have your foot on the wall, press into the wall and drop the tail. Or you could take the strap back to that left foot and hold the strap with the head down. Go ahead, place that left foot down. Go ahead and cross the right leg all the way over. Now this is where you gotta listen like Simon says. Take your arms out to a T. The right leg is on top. Allow the weight of the right leg to pull your left leg to the right. Don't go too far where you feel like it's pulling anything, but just go far enough that you feel the weight of the right leg pulling the left leg so that there's a stretch across the front of the body. Now in opposition, take a deep breath in, and on the exhale, feel your left rib cage, left armpit, trying to come back down to the mat. So your waist almost has this wringing out feeling, like a washcloth wringing out the water. On the next exhale, bring the legs up. Unfold the legs and bring them both into the chest. We're going to take both legs to the opposite side. You have two options. You can to go from with the legs up or from the legs down, shift the hips right and let them fall. Either way, top leg, the right leg, give a little push into that knee to lengthen the side of the body. Arms are out. Your head can look to the right or the left. Think of this as a little bit more active, so pressing that right knee out and away. Breathing in and out. Check in. Check in with the ceiling and the wall. Check in with the sounds, your breath and your tension. On the next exhale, use that to engage the core to come back up. We're going to repeat all of that on the left side. So have your strap handy, left knee into the chest, grab under the knee, lower part of the foot to the sky, curl the toes up and flare them down. Curl them up and flare them down. Big toe up, little toe down, and switch. Little toe up, big toe down, and switch, big toe up, little toe down. Good. While you're in this position and circling the ankle, think about your left hip driving down towards the wall near your other foot. And then reverse. Take your strap around the ball of your left foot and your leg to your straight. So what's more important here than like a really high leg is that I want your pelvis to be neutral on the mat and that your hips, if you could see me from above, if my hands are at the top of my hips, that they're even, not one is higher than the other. So take the strap into your right hand and use your left hand to help decompress your left hip down by pressing into that left quad. It's okay to have a slight bend, especially again if you're hyperextended, but you can still reach the heel to the ceiling and drop the left hip into the mat to feel a long stretch on the back of that hamstring and calf. Good, you might create a little extra rotation as you take the leg across the midline of your body. Remember that right foot stays flat, the right knee stays up towards the sky. Allow the leg to cross over your body. Breathe. Keep the left hip anchored and decompressed. Bringing the leg back to neutral to 90, switch hands, create a little bit more rotation so the toes turn left. And then as the leg goes out to your left, don't let it change the relationship of the right side of your body to the mat. The pelvis stays neutral. When the left leg's out, if you think about the toes kind of melting or cascading down to the floor, that will help find a externally rotated position of the pelvis or the femur and the pelvis. Exhale, bring that leg back up. Go ahead and remove your strap. We're actually done with it, so you can send it overhead. Heel, left heel to right knee. Grab your leg. Again, your options are foot on the wall, using your strap. Here's the thing though, right? So if you're in the position that I'm in with your right leg in your hand and your left leg on top, lean to your right about 1 inch, maybe 2. Lining up that right hip, right knee with the right shoulder. And your tail is heavy. Place that right foot down onto the ground and cross the left leg all the way over. Here Simon says again, arms are out to a T. The weight of the left leg is going to pull the right leg to your left. It feels opposite of what you've probably done before in a yoga class or a movement class. Only let the legs go down as far as they feel comfortable on that low back. Take a deep breath in on the exhale. See all this space now that's created? Exhale, press that back into the mat. Feeling a nice stretch across the front of those right obliques. And feel free if you want to pause the video at any point and stay in these positions longer or add stuff for relaxing. Go for it. This class is about finding rest and relaxation in the body and kind of unwinding those tight spots. So your body might need a little bit longer than I'm allowing in the video. Or some people might be, I got this, and they want to move faster. So unfold those legs. Two options. You can bring the knees in and let them fall to the right, or you can then lift the hips to the left. Knees fall to the right. And press that top knee out, down and away. So there's just active stretch happening across the front of the body. Spiral your head to the left. Inhale and exhale for 3. Bringing yourself back into your space, not my space. So again, ceiling and walls, sounds around us. Are your eyebrows holding a lot of tension? Are you gripping your butt right now? Are you still finding it hard to breathe? Good, and come back to a neutral position on the mat. If you have a ball or something to put between your knees, go ahead. We're gonna do a little click clack of the pelvis. So you can keep your arms down, but I'm gonna hold mine up so you can see. So it's a tucking under and a releasing of the tail. But I'll say from the get-go, what I don't want is a crunching of the spine. So if you could draw a line that I'm getting longer as I suspend my tail under, and then I'm getting even longer as I lengthen out of my spine to release my tail heavy. Inhale, press the feet down. Exhale, pull the heels back. It will help facilitate that movement. Keep going on your own. This isn't about how far you can go. So if your movement is smaller than my movement, that's okay. You're just gonna go back and forth in your end range of movement and comfortability today. And then I'm gonna ask you to find the midpoint where you hold no tension. So for some of you, that might level out into really like neutral pelvis. Others, you might still be in a tiny tuck feeling like this is comfortable for me. We're not going to change our bodies in one practice. So just allowing yourself to be aware of where your pelvis is in space and releasing the tension you're holding to try to find a little bit more length in the front, but also a length in the back. Now from here, maintaining this nice length you've created, keeping the knees where they are, you're going to let the right hip melt down as the left hip comes up like a seesaw. Knees don't move. So because the pelvis is one unit, if left hip goes down, then right hip has to come up. As you're doing this, keep breathing and keep lengthening. Everything we do wants a length in the spine. I will never ask you to shrink or crunch your spine, especially in flexion or extension. So right now we're just in what we hope is neutral for our 4 spines, but it's still a lengthening, creating an equal length between each vertebrae. Hey, what about our cervical spine, right? Lengthen, bring your chin down a little, lengthen your neck. For a lot of you, you might want to put a little pillow or a little blanket under your head to help you find that length. Come back to neutral. We're going to take it into a few hip bridges. Press the hands and the triceps into the mat and really come wide across the chest. Again, if you need a tiny pillow under your head, nothing much more, especially for hip bridges. Plant the feet into the ground and squeeze your ball. We're going to work on articulating for this one because it's all about spine lengthening. So when I say to curl, I don't want you to crunch. So can you curl by trying to get your pubic bone and your tailbone to lengthen away from your rib cage? And keep curling up by pulling your hips out and away, your knees out towards the wall, lengthening the front of your hips. Widen across the front of your chest, squeeze your ball. As you lower down, I want you to keep thinking lengthen. If I could come pull your hips out and lengthen you all the way down. So we're getting length in our spine. Yes, our hamstrings are working in the back line of our body. Yes, our arms are active. Inhale, pull. But what we're working on right now for this moment is pulling out in our spine, lengthening long. You'll get your hamstring workout later. And exhale, roll down, lengthen, pull the hips to the heels to the hips, widen across the chest. One more time. Inhale, big. Exhale, pull the pelvis out towards the heels, lengthen. And exhale, all the way down. Wonderful. You can keep the ball there or remove it. At this time, if you wanted to make sure you had something under your head, feel free. We're going to take our arms up to the sky. And we're just going to reach them up so the shoulders and the scapula come off the mat, and then let them melt down. So there's no bending or straightening of the elbows in this exercise. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Good. The extreme, of course, would be like way up. We don't want to get our shoulders so janky. We're just creating a little bit of glide in our shoulder blades, but also creating awareness of where our shoulder blades are today and where they should be, or we would like them to be more like on a daily basis. So as your shoulder blades glide down and back, and you feel the head of the humerus slide up into the shoulder girdle, that's kind of where we want them to live during our exercises. And then we'll look at how that can go into just our normal posture at another time. So keeping the head of the humerus melting into the mat, slowly with an inhale, feel the arms come up overhead, maybe 3 inches. So this is what I'm talking about, overhead. Don't go to the mat. And then come back. So playing first with just how can I keep the head of the humerus heavy on the mat as the arm moves. You could think of, those things, the blow up punch dolls that you punch them, and the weight of the sand keeps them anchored and brings them back up. Just imagine that you have a lot of sand in the head of the humerus. Good. So now we're going to add a new layer. So inhale big. Exhale, feel the ribs melt. Right? We got that in our breathing video. Now keep the ribs in that nice engaged core set feeling and still breathe in and exhale. So as the arms go overhead, see if you can keep the back of the rib cage engaged with the mat with the inhale and exhale. So there's not a huge shift of where your thoracic spine is in relationship to the mat as the arms come overhead. What there is, though, is a filling up and expansion of the rib cage and the thoracic spine to maintain connection to the mat and come back up. What we're looking for is that the arms can move on their own, that it's not a whole torso unit. I'll give you an example where it's kind of, sometimes it comes to people, is that when the arms go up, the whole body goes, right? So how can you maintain a neutral spine on the mat and just a shoulder movement? By keeping those shoulder blades down and breathing into the body, you're gonna find these muscles, the lat muscles, and let them be the driver. So the more that we do this, the more you can turn on the driver and say, hey, lats, it's all you. Find the lats to help the shoulder blades glide down under as the arms come over. And then keep that engagement as you come back up. One more thing is wide across the chest. So finding width across the chest. Good. I'm sure you're over the arms overhead at this point. Just give yourself a hug. Focus on your breath. All right, we're going to come up to sitting however you'd like. So you can roll to your side and push yourself up, or rock up to sitting. I'm going to do a couple stretches sitting, starting with our feet in a butterfly position. If you want to support your knees, you can put some pillows or blocks under your knees, and just sitting nice and tall. So I'm going to show you from the side view. It's easy to, either we just can't sit nice and tall because we have a tuck happening, or we overextend nice and tall for whatever reason. So I want you to find those sits bones. So rock back and forth on your tail, find your sits bones, and then imagine they're rooting down into the ground as your spine is lifting up through the back of your head and out the top of your pony, or top of your head. Had a pony too. And lengthening long. Keep this oppositional length happening as you breathe in. Expand your spine longer. Exhale, get even taller. Inhale. If you find find that you can't find those sits bones, feel free to sit up on a blanket, a block. Good. From here, I'm going to shift back towards you. You stay as you are. Take just one leg open to the side. Still finding those sits bones. Your left hand, so I'm going to mirror you. Your left hand slides down your leg as your right arm comes up and over. We're going to try to keep two long sides of the body as we stretch out both hands and both sides. Left hip stays anchored. Then find those sits bones again. So that might pull you. You might be all the way here, pull you back. And then as if you're in a tiny little tube, big breath and exhale, pull the ribs in and up and lengthen the back of the body. Imagine that your inhale, instead of expanding the front large, could expand the back large, kind of like a cobra, expanding its, whatever the cobra's thing is. It goes, and come up even taller. Take both hands up. Find the length. Keep the length. Drop the ribs, find the sits bones. Rotate. Take the hands down. Don't lose the length. Walk the hands. You're not going to go very far. Keep the left hip or your right hip anchored. And just come forward. Breathing in. Chin is in. Top of the head is reaching out and away. You can point. You can flex. You can bend. You can straighten. You can do nothing. Just keep reaching long from tail to head. You're going to have a little bit of spinal rotation happening, so we want to make sure there's length and not curling or crunching. And then come on tall. You can switch. At any point, you could do this exercise with both legs out. So switch. So your right leg is out. Take your right hand, reach it down. Left arm comes up and over. Good. Both sides long. So see my shift from I'm rainbowing to I'm lengthening. Energy at the top of the head, at the fingers. Right, my other hip is anchored. And then I'm going to come up even taller. The name of the game is how tall can you get? Rotate, getting taller. Walk just a couple steps forward. You might not walk at all. You might just be here. Keep this leg, I'm having a hard time because I didn't practice my mirroring, so I don't want to say the wrong thing. This leg, you can feel the heel go that way, but feel in opposition this hip going back behind you as you spiral and lengthen. See how that changes the leg. Even if this doesn't have energy out the heel extreme like this, pull that hip back and reach forward. Good. Come on in. Go ahead and take both legs to the side if that's okay for your knees. Again, you could do one leg straight. You could do whatever. You could sit in a chair. We're trying to find, again, more length in the lats. So you're going to hold on to your ankle, and this arm comes up. As it comes up, the shoulder comes out. So it could come up, but we want it to come down and pull long out of both sides of the body. Now, don't think about rainbowing, but think about lengthening and slightly bending. This hip is melting. The side is lengthening. My shoulders are down. And I'm just going to inhale big, exhale, keep reaching through the rib cage. It's not about the arm. Side lateral stretch. Come up taller. To switch, you can go over your knees. You can bring them around. Grab onto your ankle. Take this arm out and up, shoulders down. Reach up tall. Now, remember, throughout my videos, that I have an extensive movement background. So for me to be able to sit like this with my hips on the ground is something that my body can do. If your body can't do that, then it's okay. A chair is super effective. Or you could, again, take one leg out and repeat. And come up nice and tall. Excellent. We're going to do one extension exercise because we don't want to forget about our extenders. But I want you to feel this exercise as being super minimal movement. So you're going to come onto your stomach. Your hands, elbows are on the mat. Your heels can be together. And we're just going to imagine we're pushing a marble out with our nose. So just do that a couple times. Grab the marble kind of close to the chest and push the marble out. As you do this, repeat it 3 to 4 times. Press the hands and the elbows down and imagine you could drag yourself through your arms. And one more time, press that marble out, drag yourself through your arms. Now from here, keeping your chin in, kind of like you have a double chin, you're going to let your shoulders open and broaden. Keep your ribs into the mat and find a tiny bit of posterior tuck where the pubic bone comes down and lengthens. So this might be where we want to be, but we're gonna lengthen out through that tailbone. I'm gonna move my hand so you can see where my chest is. So I'm in extension, but my chest is not off the mat, and I feel my lower ribs pressing down. So the opposite, what I don't want is I'm in extension, but what I do want is I'm in extension. So what I'm working on is finding flattening of the curve. Ooh, that word has been in my head a lot this week, of the thoracic, not more extension of the lumbar. Good. One more time. The name of the game is lengthen. Lengthen the neck. Lengthen the chest. Press your hands down to open your chest as if you could pull open your chest. And then imagine that you have a string from the front of your sternum that's being pulled to the other side of the room. My ribs are still heavy. My pubic bone is heavy. I'm lengthening. Good, and repeat that as many times as you'd like, but make sure that it's not hurting your shoulders, your neck, or your low back. You can push back into child's pose. And this is completely optional. I know it's hard on some knees. We're gonna shift into that puppy pose where it's kind of a hybrid between downward dog and child's pose. The toes are tucked under if that's okay. And the tail isn't gonna come all the way back. It's gonna reach up towards the wall. My hands are on the mat, my arms are straight, my shoulders are down and back. So I'm gonna show you this from the front. So if you take your arms, see they're internally rotated, if you rotate them out, it helps open the chest up. So when you press down into the hands, can you keep the hands where they are, but rotate the head of the humeruses away from each other? You're going to try to make a straight line from your hands to your tail. That might be hard. My head will be here after I explain this. Don't overextend in your low back. So feel as if you had a tail that's being pulled so that there's a little bit of length here. So the name of the game is what? Lengthening the spine, ears between arms. Toes are tucked under, energy out heels, energy out head, energy out feet, hips, hands. Don't hyperextend the elbows if you don't have to. Open the chest, feel wide across the front of the chest. Inhale and exhale for 3. Good. Let's take it into either a child's pose one more time or on all fours. I'm going to transition back because we're going to come up to standing and I want you to be able to see me. So stay on your mat and breathe as I transition back off of the mat. All right, so our transition can be modified however you would like. So from here, from child's pose or all fours, what would be the most efficient way is to tuck your toes under. We're gonna bypass right through downward dog so that our knees stay bent and our hands start walking immediately to our feet. If you need to get up any other way, that is okay. My feet are underneath me. See, my hands are not on the ground and they are hip distance apart. They are bent so that my belly can be on my quads. I'm gonna grab my elbows and I'm gonna let my chin come into my chest. So I'm really trying to round from head to tail as much as possible. I want you just to hang here and breathe. Breathe in through your nose and big exhale. When you exhale, feel length in your spine. Even though I'm not changing the degree of my movement here, in my mind, I'm getting longer as I exhale. Take both hands down if you can. Keep one leg bent and try to straighten the other one. You probably won't get it straightened all the way, but feel the length in that leg as you straighten. Imagine that the sits bone can fan up to the ceiling where my hand is, and then bend and straighten the other one. The whole time, chin to chest. Good, and both knees bent. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. And then we're just gonna keep our knees bent, and we're gonna imagine that that tail again is being pulled down as we roll up. One vertebrae at a time, coming up all the way tall. And before you walk away and turn off the video, take 3 big breaths. Chin is down, shoulders relaxed, energy into the feet. Check in with your space. You're gonna have a different sight line and might hear different sounds. Be aware of your space. Be aware of your breath. How does your body feel? I hope that you feel lengthened and long and relaxed and that you got enough breath